Hi everyone, in this video we will discuss all the concept based questions from the chapter Python Revision Tour 1 class 12. The first question is what are tokens in Python and how many types of tokens are allowed in Python, and exemplify your answer. So tokens are nothing but the smallest individual unit in a program. Those are also called as lexical units. Okay, and the different types of tokens, those are there in Python. Those are keywords, identifiers, literals, operators, and punctuators. So keywords is nothing but the reserved words which are already defined by the programming language, and those words are having some special meaning and purpose. For example, the keywords are like while, for, in, then break, continue. All these are the keywords. Now next is identifiers. Those are nothing but the user given names to different variables or objects or functions. Okay, so while naming one identifier, we have to follow certain rules. You just can't give any name for an identifier. Okay, so that we'll know later what are the rules. Now the next token is literal. Literal is nothing but the value given to a variable, or you can say the value given to a data item is the literal. So for example, if you're creating a variable num and you're assigning a value 9, then here 9 is a literal which is associated with the variable num. Okay, so that is one integer literal because it refers to an integer value. Similarly, if you are writing str is equal to Python, here Python is a string, then Python is a literal, which is nothing but a string type of literal. So literal is nothing but the value given to a variable. So it can be an integer or numeric literal or string literal or list literal. All these kinds of literals are there. Now operators. Operators are the special symbols which are used to carry out some operation or calculation or computation. So those are, plus, minus, or less than, greater than, equal to, all this. There are many types of operators are there. Next is punctuators. Punctuators are some special characters, the symbols which are used to organize the program statement or expressions. For example, the curly braces or the colon, then square brackets, parentheses, all these are the punctuator marks used in a program. Now, how are keywords different from identifiers? So the basic difference between keywords and identifiers are keywords are the words which are already defined by the programming language, whereas identifiers are the names given by the user. That is the basic difference. So as you know, the keywords which are used in Python are like break or continue, true, for, import, and, in, or. All these are some of the keywords which are used in Python or any other programming language. So those are the words having some spatial meaning and purpose. Okay, and one more point you have to remember that you cannot use one keyword as an identifier. Okay, so identifier should be the names given by the user, and it has to follow certain rules. Now, what are the rules? While naming one identifier, you should remember that it should not contain any space and it should not begin with numbers. Okay, and it contains only letters or alphabets and the numbers and underscore. No other special character is allowed in a identifier. Okay, so some of the valid identifier examples I have given: ABC or AB underscore C or ABC12. Here you can see number is there in the identifier, but one identifier should not begin with a number. It can begin with any alphabet or underscore. And one more point to remember, that identifier must not be a keyword. You cannot create one identifier which is same as a keyword. It will give you error. Now what are literals and how many types of literals are allowed in Python? Okay, as I told you, literals are nothing but the values that are given to a variable, or you can say the data values that are associated with a variable or constant are called literals. Okay, for example, if you are writing a is equal to 10, so here 10 is one literal and it is one integer type of literal. So the different types of literals, those are available or allowed in Python are string literal and numeric literal, then Boolean literal, non-literal and collection literal. Okay, so string, as you know, a sequence of characters which are enclosed within single quotes or double quotes or triple quotes also. Okay, so basically the single line strings are enclosed by single quote or double quotes, whereas multi-line strings has to be enclosed by triple quotes. Okay, now I've given one example also. Now the next type of literal is numeric literal. Here you can see the numeric literals are of different types, like integer literal, floating point literal, and so on. Okay, as you know, the numeric literals represent the numeric values or the numbers. The first type is integer literal. Integer literal is basically the whole numbers and it can contain the positive as well as negative numbers. Okay, and integer literal can also be written in octal and hexadecimal form. Now another type of numeric literal is floating point literal. As you know, these are the numbers having some decimal point. Okay, for example, 1.75 and 3.e2, that is in exponent form also you can represent. The next type of numeric literal is the complex number literals, which are used to represent imaginary numbers in the form of a plus b, j. Okay, next type of literal is Boolean literal, which represents either of the Boolean values, that is true or false. Okay, so we can directly assign any Boolean literal to a variable, like here one example is there, b is equal to false. So here false is a Boolean type of value or Boolean literal which is assigned to the variable b. Now one more type of literal which is available in Python, that is none. None is a type of value that you can assign to a variable which indicates the absence of any value. For example, y is equal to none or any variable is equal to none. That means there is no value for this variable. Okay. Now another type of literal is collections. Collection literal are like list, literal, tuple, dictionary. These are all the collection literals. For example, if you are writing L is equal to, L is a list and it is containing a list type of data. So here that list is called a list literal. Okay. Now can non-graphic characters be used and processed in Python? How? Give examples to support your answer. So the answer is yes, non-graphic characters can be represented or processed in Python. Okay, so basically non-graphic characters are those characters which cannot be directly typed from the keyboard. For example, backspace, tab, carriage return, all these things. So then how to specify all these things? So those are represented by using escape sequence. So escape sequence is represented by a backslash followed by one or more characters. Like for example, backslash R to represent carriage return. Then backslash T represents tab. Similarly, with the help of backslash, you can represent non-graphic characters and process them in Python. Now, out of the following, find those identifiers which cannot be used for naming variables or functions in a Python program. Okay, first of all, we should know the rules that we have to follow to name a identifier. Okay, first rule is it should not be a keyword. Cannot use one reserved word or keyword as an identifier. Then it must begin with alphabets or underscore. It should not begin with any other character. Then it cannot contain anything except alphabets, numbers and underscore. It cannot contain any other character apart from alphabets, numbers and underscore. Okay, so these rules we have to follow. So by following these rules, we'll check. First one is price, then one asterisk symbol and quantity. So this is one invalid because it contains a special character, so which is not allowed one in identifier. Now next one is class. Class is also another invalid identifier because class is a keyword. Now for is a valid identifier. As you can see here, for begins with a uppercase F, whereas our for keyword is with lowercase. Okay, so since Python is a case sensitive programming language, so we can use for here. Uppercase F is there, which is not same as the for keyword, so it is a valid identifier. Next one is do. Do is also valid because do is not a keyword in Python. Now fourth call. So that is also invalid because it begins with a number, which is not allowed. It should not begin with a number. Next is totally. Totally is another identifier which is valid because it is following all the rules. Now next one is row 31. That is also valid because it is also according to the rule. It is not violating any rule, so it is also one valid identifier. And next is underscore amount. That is also valid because, as we said, one identifier can begin with one underscore apart from alphabets, so this is also valid. Now how are floating point constants represented in Python? Give example to support your answer. So as you know, floating point numbers are used to represent the real numbers having decimal points. Okay, that means the number is having a decimal point and the number is having two parts. One is the integer part and the other is the fractional part. Okay, the value before the decimal point represents the whole number or the integer part, and the values after the decimal point represents the fractional parts, like this. So if you want to represent this type of numbers, then you can use float variable or float data type can be used. Okay. Now Python uses double precision format to represent a float. That means double precision means it uses 8 bytes or 64 bits. In single precision it uses 32 bits or 4 bytes. But Python uses double precision format, that means it uses 64 bits to represent a float and has a precision of about 16 decimal digits. So precision of 16 decimal digits means precision is basically the number of digits following the decimal point. So up to 16 digits it is allowed in Python. Now floats can also be represented in scientific notation with uppercase E or lowercase e, which indicates the power of 10. For example, 2.5 E2 means 2.5 into 10 to the power 2. Similarly, 2.5 e minus 2 represents 2.5 into 10 to the power minus 2. Now, how are string literals represented and implemented in Python? So, as you know, strings are sequence of Unicode characters which are represented within single quote, double quote, or triple quote. So, single quote and double quote are used to represent single line string, whereas triple quotes are used to represent multi-line string. Okay, a string can hold any character, but you have to keep it within single quote or double quote, or else if it is multi-line, then within triple quotes. Okay, so as you know, this is one immutable data type. Why? Because once a string variable is created, we cannot change the value of the string or the value or the characters at any position. You cannot change in a string, but we can access the value or the character at particular position of a string by using its index number. Okay, and the index number always begins with 0, and this is a sequence data type. So we can sequentially access the characters from a string by using its index number, but since it is immutable, we cannot assign a new value to any particular index number, or we cannot modify the content of the string. Now, what are operators? What is their function? Give examples of some unary and binary operators. So, operators are the tokens which are used to carry out some calculation or computation. So they basically compute on the data value and give some result. Okay, so to carry out some computational operations, you can use operators. So the different types of operators like arithmetic, relational, bitwise, all these types of operators are there available. Now, what are unary and binary operators? As you know, unary operators are operated on a single operand. Okay, operand is the data value on which some operation is carried out. Okay, so it requires only a single operand. So the examples are unary negative. Okay, to specify that a number is a negative number, so -5, for example. Then unary positive to specify like the number is a positive number. Okay, for example, +5. Similarly, bitwise NOR or Boolean NOT. Okay, these are the unary operators which are operated on a single value, whereas the operators which is operated on two values or two operands are involved, those are called binary operators. Okay, so you can use like multiplication, division, exponentiation. These are all the binary operators. What is an expression and a statement? So expression is a program element that evaluates to some value. That means it produces some result. Okay, so it is basically a combination of operators, variables, and literals, and it produces some value. Whereas statements do not return any value, they just carry out some action or they represent a command. That is the basic difference between them. For example, if you are writing 7 to the power 3, so that is one expression because you are getting some result out of this. Or 9 floor division 2. So these are some of the expressions. I can say 8 greater than 7. So this is also giving you some value which is either true or false. So this way you can say these are all the expressions. Okay, even a call to a function, that is also one expression because it also returns some value. Whereas statements just carry out some action. They don't return any value. For example, print statement. You're writing print hello. So hello will be printed. One command or one action will be done. But no result is generated or no calculated value will come out from this. Like for example, if you're assigning some value to a variable like assignment statement, let's say a is equal to 5. This is also one statement. This is just a statement which represents some command or action or importing some library to the program. So these are all some of the statements. Okay, so they don't return any value, whereas anything that returns some value, those are basically the expressions, and they involve operators, variable, and literals. Now, what all components can a Python program contain? The different components of a Python program are like expression, statement, comments, functions, blocks, and indentation. So these are the components of a Python program. First one is the expression. As I told you, this is something which will carry out some calculation and it will return some value. Like for example, 3 plus 7, a greater than equal to b, like this. Then statements are nothing but the commands to carry out some action like print statement, print hello, or if and condition. Then looping statements, these are all the examples of statements. Then comments, as you know, in a program you will also need to write some comment lines. So those can be single line comment or multi-line comments. That is also another component of a Python program. Then functions are also another component of a Python program. The functions can be predefined functions or user-defined functions. Then blocks. Blocks are the group of codes. Okay, so related group of codes kept together form a block. Okay, now indentation is the spaces at the beginning of a code line to indicate that it is a particular block of code. So this is also an important component of a Python program. So these are all the components of a Python program. Now what are variables? How are they important for a program? So variables are nothing but containers or the holders to hold some data. Okay, so they are what basically the reserved memory locations. Okay, those particular memory locations store or hold some data value, and we refer to that memory location by variables. Okay, so when you are creating a variable, then some memory space is reserved. Okay, depending on the type of data. If you are creating an integer variable, then it will reserve 4 bytes of space in memory. Similarly, depending on the type of data, it will reserve some space in the memory, and that particular memory location is referred by the variable name. Okay, so for example, if you're writing a is equal to 5, then a is the variable, or you can say the container, which contains the value or the data 5. Okay, so here the variable is integer type of variable because it contains integer type of data, and it will create 4 bytes of, not create, it will occupy or reserve 4 bytes of space or 32 bits of space in memory location, and it will store value 5 in that location. Okay, so that is what the role of a variable, and why it is important for a program, because variables provide some labeling of data. That means we are just labeling a data with a name. 5 is the data which is labeled with a variable a. So that is important. So that further, if you want to access the data value 5, then we can access it by the variable name a. We can refer to the memory location which stores the value 5 through the variable a. Okay, so this is required for our program so that programs can be understood more clearly. Now describe the concepts of block or suit and body. What is indentation and how is it related to block and body? Okay, so as you can see here, a block in Python represents a group of statements executed as a single unit. That means the related statements which are grouped together to carry out a particular function as a single unit is called as a block in Python. Okay, and the statements which are the part of the same block are constituting the body of the block. Okay, now indentation is used to create a block of code. As you know, the statements at the same indentation level are the part of the same block. For example, here we have created one function, def function name, that is the header line, and the body of the function is like this: s is equal to sum of lst, a is equal to s by length of lst, and print a. These are the three statements which constitute the body of the block. So you can say these three statements are like a part of a single block because they are at the same indentation level and they are executing as a single unit. When you call the function, then all these three statements will be executed. Okay, so as you can see here, so this is the block which contains a group of statements which are executing as a single unit, and those statements which are present in a single block, those make the body of the block. Now, what are data types and how are they important? Okay, so data types are basically used to categorize the data or to classify the data that are used in a program. Okay, so or in other words, you can just tell in simple terms, you can say the type of container. In what type of container we are storing what type of data. There are different types of containers to store different types of data. For example, if you are storing integer type of data, then your data type should be int type or integer type, or else if you're storing some string type of data, then your data type to be used is string type, or else if you're storing some float value, then you need a float type of data. Okay, so these are basically the classification of data. Okay, the different built-in data types that are used in program are integer, string, list, float, dictionary. These are the basic data types which are used in a Python program. So each data type defines the size and range of values, okay, for the given data type. For example, if you are talking about integer type of data, then its size is, it should be 32 bits or 4 bytes. The range of values means what are the ranges of value minimum to maximum. Those are allowed in that type of data. Okay. The second thing that is associated with a data type, that is the set of operations can be performed on that particular data. Like if you're talking about integer data, then the type of operations you can perform like addition, subtraction, multiplication and all those things. And if you're talking about string type of data, then the operation can be performed like length of the string or something like that. So all those different data types have got different set of operations. Okay, so basically data type tells the processor what amount of memory space to reserve for a particular type of data and what type of operations can be performed on that particular type of data. So these are the two reasons why data type is important in a program. Now, what are immutable and mutable data types, and list immutable and mutable types in Python? As you know, immutable data types are those data whose value cannot be changed once it is created, whereas mutable data types are those objects whose value can be changed after it is created. For example, as you know, int, float, string, tuple, these are the immutable type of data, whereas list, set, dictionary, these are the mutable type of data. Now let's have a look on this example. Let's say there is a tuple tup having values 7, 8 and 9. 7 is at index number 0, 8 is at index number 1 and like this. Like suppose if you want to assign a new value at index number 0, we want to modify the value at index number 0 from 7 to 4 and we are assigning top of 0 is equal to 4, then it will not allow you to do that. It will give you some error. Why? Because tuple is immutable type of data and we cannot change the value of the tuple. Whereas if you do the same thing with the list type of data, just have a look on the right side column. There is a list lst having values 3, 4, 5 and here we are modifying the value which is at index number 0 from 3 to 6. Now it will allow you to do that. So we can modify the value after it is created, that is mutable type of data. Now what is the difference between implicit type conversion and explicit type conversion? So as you know, implicit type conversion is, in this type of conversion, automatically one data type is converted into another. Whereas in explicit type conversion, the user has to convert the data type from one type to another by using some predefined functions like int, str, float, all those functions are used. This is otherwise called as typecasting. So what happens in implicit type conversion? Basically, the lower data type is converted into higher type. For example, if your a value is 5, now here a is one integer type of data. Now suppose you are writing a is equal to a plus 2.5. So now your a becomes 7.5, which is a float type of data. Now if you want to know the type of a, the data type of variable a, then it will give you a float because it is already automatically converted into float type. Okay, whereas if you are interested to convert one higher data type into lower type, then you have to exclusively convert it by using explicit type conversion. In that case, you have to use some function. Now let's have a look on the right side column. In this example, a is 2.5, that means a is a float type of data. Now we want to convert a into an integer, which is a lower type or the lower in size. So we have to use one function int. So a is equal to int of a. So that means 2.5 will be converted into integer type and it will be assigned to the variable a. This is called typecasting, which is done by the user by using int function. Okay. Now implicit type conversion is automatically performed by the Python interpreter, whereas explicit type conversion is done by the user exclusively. And in implicit type conversion, there is no loss of data because as you are storing one small value in a large container. That happens in implicit type conversion. That means if you're assigning one integer value into a float type of variable or float data type, then it will be occupied over there. That why? Because integer is a smaller data compared to the float data. So there is no loss of data. Whereas in typecasting, loss of data may occur because you are enforcing the object to change its data type. That means you are forcing one large quantity of data into a small container. So maybe some loss of data can occur in case of typecasting. An immutable data type is one that cannot change after being created. Now give reasons to use immutable data. So as you know, you cannot modify the content of a immutable data. Then if so, then why we are using that in a program? Okay, there are certain reasons for that. The first reason is that when we are certain that no changes will be made to the variable once its value is given in the program afterwards, then you can use immutable data for that. Okay. Now next reason is that immutable data like tuples are more faster than mutable types like list. Okay, so if it is required, if it is not required, then don't use mutable type. You can always use immutable type when your data value is not going to change. Then it is also simpler because they have only one value that remains throughout the program. It does not change its state. Now, immutable data also improves correctness and clarity of the program. Then another important reason is that they are thread safe. That means multiple threads operating on them cannot modify or corrupt the data. So thread is something, you can say it is a sub process or the smallest part of a program, you can say smallest unit of a processing is called as a thread. Okay, if multiple threads are acting on an object, then there's a chance that it may get corrupted or modified, but that will not happen if you are using immutable data. And the next reason is it is easy for debugging as there is only one value for immutable type of data throughout the program. So we will not get confused while debugging. Now what is entry control loop? Which loop is entry control loop in Python? So as you know, entry control loop checks for the condition at the time of entry. Okay, if at all the condition is true, then only the control will transfer to the body of the loop and the body will get executed. Otherwise, the body will not get executed. Okay, that means first the condition is checked, then the loop is or the body is executed. So such kind of loops are called entry controlled loops. So we can use this type of loop where the test condition has to be checked. That is the mandatory condition before executing the loop. Okay. So while loop is one example of entry controlled loop where the condition is first checked and if it is true then the body is executed. For example, if you are taking one while loop is like this, while num is less than equal to 9 where num is initialized with 2, then it has to print high and num value will get incremented by 2. Okay, so here first it will check whether num is less than equal to 9 or not. If it is true, if the condition is true, then only it will execute the next code. Otherwise, it will not execute the loop. Okay, so this is entry controlled loop. Now explain the use of the pass statement. Illustrate it with example. Okay, as you know, pass statement or the pass keyword is used when you don't want to execute anything. Okay, so this is basically used to execute nothing. So in that way, what will happen? The control will pass by, okay, without executing any code. Okay, so if you want to pass by or bypass any code, then you can use pass statement. Now the next thing is why such a statement is used. Okay, so it is beneficial when a statement is required syntactically. It has to be given, some syntax has to be given, but actually you don't want to do anything. So in that case, you can use pass statement. Also, you can pass it right now, but afterwards in the program, you can give some statement in that particular position. Then for the time being, you can just pass the code over there. Okay, for example, you can see here there is a string Python, then we are using a for loop for C in S. If C in A, E, I, O, U, that means if C is a vowel, then pass. Otherwise, print C. So you can see the output is like this. It is printing P, Y, T, H, but when it encounters O, which is a vowel, then it just pass to the next statement and it is printing the next character, that is N. Okay, so this is how you can use pass statement. Now indicate the data type of the underlined part. First one is temp less than 32. This one is giving you the value as boolean value because this condition will give you either true value or false. Next one, there is a list of strings and we're accessing the value at index number 1, so the data type will be string. The third one, m is a list, and for I in range 3, m dot append I. Here m will be a list of integers. Now fourth one, n is equal to length of L and it is asking for the data type of n, which is integer type of data because length of list will be always a whole number, so that will be integer. Next, if n% is equal to 0, or here this one will give you boolean value because the value will be either true or false. Next is L is equal to input dot split. That means whatever string that is given as input will be splitted into different words. Now it is printing L. L will be nothing but list of string. Now next one, there's a list of strings and it is printing L of 0 plus L of 1. That means we are concatenating two strings. So which will be a string type again. Now here ends the concept based questions with the solutions. For Python part 1 of the chapter 1. Now if there is any doubt you can put it in comment section and stay tuned for more such videos and do subscribe. Thank you.